Let's just be honest here. You're afraid, and therefore you want everyone else to be afraid too. Let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. Make sure you click the like button and subscribe, and also the notification bell so you get notified when I release a new video. Let's get into it. Yo guys, Matt from Upsilon Mining. Now I'm back at you with a message that fortune favors the brave. And also, statistically speaking, none of you watching this podcast will be alive in 100 years. Now, I know that sounds grim, but hear me out. What does this have to do with anything? If you don't take chances in life, you will be relegated to living, at best, an average or okay life. And I'll tell you exactly why. All of the greatest pioneers of industry, we're talking people that started the largest, most successful corporations in the world. Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Elon Musk. These are very well-known names to every one of you. None of these characters got where they are by taking no risk. The fact of the matter is Elon Musk is a very smart guy. But let's just think about that for 1 second. Just because you're smart doesn't mean that you're going to be extremely wealthy. I work in the software industry. And I've worked with many very intelligent guys, many guys that are way more intelligent than myself. In fact, I also went to university with a lot of guys that are actually, on paper at least, or on surface level, much more intelligent than myself, meaning they did better grades. I borderline failed a mathematical, an abstract mathematical like foundations type of course for computer science. It was one of the it was abstract mathematics basically. It wasn't like a foundation. It was it was like an abstract mathematics course, and it was very hard. Professor Sin, I remember this guy, and like literally everyone failed this course. Literally, he had like a 15% pass rate, and it was so bad that the university had to actually start taking notice of like, why is your failure rate so low? It could have been the delivery of the lecture. It could have been whatever. But I have one friend, I'm not naming anyone obviously, that went on to get his master's in computer science. He then went on to work a job making $40,000, $50,000 a year full time for the past 15 to 20 years. And maybe he makes $65,000, maybe $70,000 at this point, right? Whereas I went to start my own corporation doing contract software development, and my company brings in close to $200,000 a year in revenue from clients. I do have a lot of expenses and write-offs, and my personal income isn't anywhere near that. But that's by choice. And this is done specifically to enhance the business because I need those expenses to grow the business, right? So what I'm saying is my friend took no chances. He played it safe. He got his master's, everything that you should have done according to society. Now, that's a very important key point there. He did everything that you think a successful person would do, yet I made 3 times the amount that he made, having failed the course that he passed, having not got my master's. I just have my bachelor's degree in computer science. And speaking to that, I have friends that have doing the same thing I do as a career, making more than me even, and some of them only have college education, or not even college education, I'm sure in many cases as well. But what did they have? They didn't let FUD get to them. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Now this is an important lesson because fear, uncertainty, and doubt will hold you back, not just with crypto. People are passing this around like it's a crypto term. This is a life, guys, this is a life term. Are you afraid? Do you have uncertainty? Do you have doubt? Everyone does. You don't think Elon Musk had fear, uncertainty, and doubt when he bailed out Tesla with millions of dollars and deciding to let Tesla survive or let SpaceX survive? Have you guys ever watched or listened to his biography? There was at one point where both companies could have died, and he had to decide where to put his money from PayPal, essentially. He had like a few $1 million left. and he was running dry. And he decided to split that money between both companies. Both have now reached stratospheric success. That's the same, and you can ask yourself, how do you want to be? Because I'm telling you right now, the millions of miners out there that quit will be the ones that quit and pave the way by moving out of the way for everyone else who has the ability to stay in the market. Now, I know people are going to say, well, I can't afford electricity. I can't control that. But there are things within your control. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt will stop you from reaching levels that you might not reach before. And of course, taking risks are risky. Why do you think it's called a risk? You don't succeed. You don't make huge returns in life and investments in your career by playing it safe. If you want to play it safe, go be happy with your $40,000 job. Okay? And I'm not trying to say this to be an asshole. I'm trying to say this, that if you want success, you need to take chances. I don't care what that is. I don't care if that's starting a business. And the funny thing, people take chances on things all the time with little to no reward. I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but marriage is one thing which comes with a huge amount of risk. And yes, there's possibilities for actually improving your situation financially and your happiness levels, but there's a huge risk on the downside, on the exiting end of that portion. No matter what you do in life, there's going to be risk. The higher your risk, the higher your reward. If you are only willing to do the bare minimum, you'll get the bare minimum. If you're only willing to put on the line the bare minimum, your rewards will also be the bare minimum. Now, I'm not saying this as any sort of financial advice, so don't get me wrong here. I'm not asking you to mortgage your house and put all the money, drop it on Dogecoin right now. That's an extreme example, and people like to jump to extremes. What I mean by that is the negativity that I'm seeing in the crypto mining, especially in a lot of comments from videos, is just absolutely fear, uncertainty, and doubt. A lot of miners are afraid of losing their own success because all they can see is here. And they dispel knowledge, or they dispel their message upon others regarding this. Their fear is like, you ever heard of groupthink mentality? Okay, so groupthink mentality is like when you have a group of people, everyone's wearing black ties. You come in now and you're wearing a red tie. Depending on the kind of personality you have, you're going to have a strong urge to buy a black tie so you fit in. Essentially, herds of sheep, right? No, I'm not saying that in a negative sort of connotation. But I'm a firm believer that the lessons that I take from life, that I'm trying to take into mining and starting businesses, are one and the same. If you just, if people prefer to stay at the bottom by putting little risk in, or putting no risk because they're afraid of losing big, you've already lost. You've already lost. Like I said, people do stuff that's foolish. Like, in my opinion, like marriage and all that stuff, right? It's very foolish with big losses that could happen to you. I've known guys that have been ruined from divorce. Think of spousal support, think of child support, think of losing half your shit. But then people, at the same time, won't spend $2,000 on a super efficient ASIC because they're afraid that crypto is going to die. Where does that make any sense? Okay, so you're willing to get married and put $1 million down on property, on a house, all hinging on whether or not this other human being decides, or whether or not they like you or not, or they're bored in 15 years or 7 years after the 7-year itch. People take the risks that make no sense, that are based on illogical emotions like love, and they do that orders of magnitude more than reasonable approaches to things, and they'd rather rely upon speculation, negativity, and pessimism to make their life choices. Now, I hear a lot of people saying Ethereum Classic's going to be dead when proof of stake happens. Oh, proof of stake's going to happen. Everyone's going to go on to the other coins, Ethereum Classic. The profitability is going to be crushed. Sure, that can happen, but it's not going to happen for long. Because if everyone's losing money, they're going to quit. And if those people didn't take the time to buy more efficient hardware, get cheaper electricity somehow, perhaps by hosting their hardware, turn the rigs off and waiting, taking that same amount of money on hydro and investing, they're out there trying to sell these things like sheep do in an effort to make their money back. Now, I know this sounds like a harsh lesson, but everyone out there panicking and rushing to sell their rigs for exorbitantly high prices, especially on Facebook Marketplace. If you've seen some of the rigs on Facebook Marketplace or on eBay or on your local buy and sells, you'll have noticed that people are selling rigs for ridiculous prices. If you divide the number of GPUs in there and you look at the market price of those GPUs, it doesn't add up. They're essentially wanting to get what they paid back 6 months ago. And they're doing this out of fear, uncertainty, and doubt because they want to scramble to claw back that money. When in reality, if they need that money so damn bad, you shouldn't have spent it in the first place. The best bet, I think, at this point in time is holding onto your hardware and waiting for a bull run. If your hydro is so high you can't do anything about the operating costs or hosting or anything, and you can't afford to buy new, more efficient hardware, you're better off waiting. You're not better off, and no one is better off by going on YouTube comments saying how crypto mining is dead, putting LOL BS comments here and there saying that, oh, when proof of stake happens, it's gonna be dead. I hate short-term thinkers. Short-term thinking is what has essentially ruined society, I think, in a lot of cases. Short-term thinking has led to people losing their homes, losing their houses, losing their relationships, losing everything because they could only see 2 feet in front of them. We are here now for the Ethereum Classic at $14.91, and people are crying. Well, when proof of stake happens, all these ASICs are going to go over. Go watch Seb's recent video where he basically said, no one's going to continue mining unless you're foolish. Because you're going to be losing money in your GPUs. You're going to be shutting them off, and people are going to start selling them off. I understand everybody's financial situation is different. But if you had the GPUs and you weren't selling them before, you really didn't need the money. Just turn them off, wait till the bull run comes back, switch them back on. Or if you don't want to do this anymore, sell them, but you're probably going to lose money unless you got them for cheap. Or if they're already paid for because you've been in it a couple of years, it makes more sense to either wait for them, wait for the next bull run, or to just sell the GPUs if you want. But really, I'm telling you right now, fortune comes down to the brave. And I'm going to talk a bit about this guy here. And I have 4 of these now. I bought 4 of these. I put a lot of money down on these. But if you look at the original price, this thing was going for $11,000, $12,000. We're getting them for less than half the price that they were before. Everyone's going to be like, well, you're never going to ROI. You're never going to ROI. Because they prefer fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Which I think is bullshit. I'll be honest. Bullshit. My channel isn't monetized right now, and I'm not making money off it. So I'll say it bullshit. This, going around spreading FUD, is bullshit. Because people tend to want to make other people feel the way they feel to validate their own feelings. Okay, understand this. This is a primary human characteristic, the way the mentality of most humans are. If you feel really doubtful and scared, okay? If you feel doubtful and scared about something, you're going to get comfort in bringing other people in to also feel scared. Okay? En masse, this is what leads to drops like this. Right? Or drops like this. as we recently saw. This is the result of nothing but fear. I hope you understand that. People are afraid of losing what they have. They're afraid of it going down to zero. They're afraid of it going down to zero and losing their money. But the chances are technology like Bitcoin going to zero and not recovering, or at least not recovering to where it was at some point in time, which is over here, or higher once the economy starts recovering. If you know anything about the Great Depression, if you know anything about previous network or previous financial collapses, and when, especially in the 80s, when the government raised the interest rates super high, times and periods of recession and depression are always followed by booms in growth. I'm not sure giving this as financial advice. I'm just giving this as scientific proof. F your feelings when it comes to this, okay? I'm saying F your feelings. FUD is your feelings. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. These are all negative feelings, okay? And I'll tell you right now, everyone that's buying Bitcoin at sub $20,000, I don't care if it drops to 10 or 5 or the bottom, will make money back in the future. And that's my belief. I could be wrong, but if I were wrong, it would mean that essentially we're just going to be in a permanent recession and depression. Do you really think that's going to happen? Do you think we're going to allow that to happen? Do you think it's going to, like, do you think society as a whole is going to collapse, where everything's going to drop to zero? The stocks are going to drop to zero? Everything, like, Amazon's going to drop to zero, Disney's going to drop to zero, groceries going to be so high that we all start fucking starving? That's not going to happen. Moments of bad are always followed by moments of good. When it's raining, it's raining. When it's raining, it's pouring. And when it's good, it's fucking sunshine. Look. There's your fucking sunshine. There's your raining. There's your pouring. But if you think it's going to stay like this forever, unless something, a major scandal comes out or something major happens, a scandal or something crazy, or huge bankruptcies of some sort, or something that's crazy, Bitcoin's not going to die. It's decentralized. And as we know, Bitcoin and all the other currencies follow in tow with Bitcoin. Look at this. Everything follows in tow with Bitcoin. It follows the trends. Bitcoin drops, everything else drops. And it's all correlated. I could line these charts up and they would be very lined up. The same goes for Ethereum Classic. Right? Everything's dropped. Right? But are you going to come here and say it's never going to get back to here? Are you going to come back here and tell me it's never going to get back to here again? Here? Never? Really? I think people need to start putting their FUD aside and start using common sense and reason, long-term thinking. And I think we'll all be better off as crypto miners and people in crypto in general. Just because you're afraid, that doesn't give you the right to go around spreading fear with other people, right? Now, I'm not giving this as the inverse of that, saying that since I'm super optimistic, you need to be super optimistic. Because I could be wrong as well, but anyone could be wrong. But spreading FUD is what gets markets into these situations, right? Government releases higher inflation numbers or increases the interest rates. So people panic. They start selling. You know, you see your neighbor panicking, so you start selling. Someone sees you panicking, they start selling. They start putting a black tie on, you start putting a black tie on. And remember what I said. Fortune favors the brave. Okay? This is why I'm doubling down on these ETC hash servers, right? Because I think ETC, we have 6 years to mine on this. Okay? Let's get that out of the way. We can complain all day long about the memory size being 5 gigabytes, but that gives us 6 years, roughly to November 2028. That is 6 years. Dudes, lots can happen in 6 years. Like, how old are you guys? Are you guys 15? So, like, 6 years ago, you were 9. I'm almost 40 years old. 6 years ago is like a blink of an eye. Like that. And you know how much changes in 6 years? monumental amounts of things change in 6 years. And I don't think this chart is going to look like this for 6 years, because it didn't even look like that for 6 years from the beginning. 2016 to 2020, and then it spiked in 2021. That's not 6 years. So you think we're going to go another, 6 years or longer? Even then, you've accumulated the coin between now and then. Okay, so let's say 6 years. All right, the Jazz Miners is a doorstop, right? It's a doorstop now. But you've mined on it for 6 years. So it's not really that fact that hardware anymore. Who gives a shit about the hardware, okay? What did you get from that hardware? How much Ethereum Classic did you earn from that? And holding that, is the value going to go up? Or has it already gone up and you sold, like maybe in 2027, 2026, 2025? Maybe you sold then when Ethereum Classic spiked to like $200 or $300, $500 per coin. This FUD needs to be squashed, because FUD is what leads to losers and quitters. Okay? But it's a symbiotic relationship. The winners need the losers. Now, that's pretty much, I think, definitely a euphemism for life, and for why few succeed and many fail. Now, it's not just extremes. Like I said, you don't have to be a multi-billionaire, but you could have $1 million, whereas someone else might only have $5,000 or $0 or $100,000. There's lots. It's a scale. Where do you want to be on that scale? Are you going to let FUD hold you back? Or are you going to take advantage of situations like when everyone else is running and you're charging the bull? Okay, let me just ask you that question. Not financial advice, but what do you want to be? Do you want to be the cockroaches that scatter when the shit hits the floor? Or do you want to be the cockroaches that stick around and eat that shit? I'm going to leave it there, guys. I will talk to you in the next video. Bye for now.